Welcome back to the Deep Dive, where we take a stack of sources and try to pull out the most interesting and important bits.
Yeah, like that signal and the noise.
Exactly. And today we're diving into a local story out of Kennewick, Washington. Um, it's one of those that really hits home, kind of makes you think.
Yeah, I was reading this one and just thinking about, how life can change in an instant.
It's a tough reminder,
For
right?
sure, especially for, well, everyone involved in this.
Yeah. So the basic situation, a pedestrian was seriously injured in a car accident, just kind of a normal Sunday evening.
Yeah, and that's what's so striking about this.
Happens all the time.
Yeah, like you never think it's going to be you, right?
Right.
Until it is.
So let's get into it. A 46-year-old man was hit by a pickup truck, and it sounds like his injuries are really serious.
Yeah, fighting for his life, according to the reports.
And then there's the driver, a 63-year-old woman, now potentially facing some serious consequences. This happened on West 10th Avenue by those Arlo apartments.
Near Park Middle School.
Right, right.
Like, that area is so, residential. You can picture families out walking, kids maybe playing. Makes it hit harder.
It does, you're right, you're right. So where do we even begin with this one?
Well, I mean, this wasn't a simple open and shut case, right? There's a lot to unpack.
Definitely, what stood out to me was that the man wasn't in a crosswalk when he was hit.
And that really complicates things.
It does, because, you think, okay, pedestrian gets hit by a car, driver's automatically at fault, but it's not that simple.
Not at all. And this is where the whole conversation about shared responsibility on the road comes in.
Because even though drivers need to be careful, pedestrians can't just assume they're invincible, right?
Exactly. It's like,
Mhm.
yeah, drivers have a responsibility to be alert and follow the rules of the road, absolutely. But pedestrians got to do their part too.
So what can pedestrians do to be safer?
I mean, basic stuff, but it's easy to forget paying attention to your surroundings, not just your phone.
Right.
Making eye contact with drivers before you step out.
Not assuming cars will stop for you.
Yeah, because even if you have the right of way, if a car's not stopping, it doesn't matter. You know what I mean?
Right. It's better to be safe than sorry, I guess.
100%.
So in this particular accident, the report says the driver stayed at the scene and cooperated with the police.
Yeah, which is good, but doesn't necessarily mean she's in the clear, legally speaking.
Right, right. Because even if she wasn't speeding or anything, there could be other factors.
Oh, absolutely. They'll look at everything, visibility at the time, any distractions she might have had, road conditions. It gets complicated.
And then there's the whole question of, even if she isn't criminally charged, what about civil liability?
Oh, yeah, especially with those severe injuries. The victim could sue for medical bills, lost wages, pain and suffering, all that.
It's crazy to think how one moment can lead to all this.
It really is. And this whole thing shut down the road for nearly 5 hours, too.
I read that must have been a huge disruption for everyone in the area.
Total ripple effect. Think about all the people delayed getting home, businesses impacted, first responders tied up. It's a lot.
Yeah, it's a reminder that these accidents don't just affect the people directly involved. It's like the whole community feels it.
For sure.
So let's shift gears a little here and talk about what we can learn from this, practically speaking. You mentioned insurance before.
Oh, yeah. And this is where it gets real, right? None of us want to think about being in an accident.
But it's so important to be prepared.
Exactly, because whether you're the pedestrian or the driver, the financial consequences can be huge. Medical bills alone can bankrupt you.
No joke. And then there's potential legal fees. And if you're found at fault, you could be liable for damages to the other party's vehicle, all of that.
Which is why having good car insurance is so crucial.
And not just the minimum required by law, right? You really need to think about what kind of coverage you need.
Absolutely, and that's something you can talk to an insurance agent about. They can help you figure out what makes sense for your situation.
Yeah, I mean, I'm thinking about my own insurance now. Do I have enough coverage?
It's a good thing to review, honestly.
So, stepping back from all this, what's the big takeaway for our listeners today?
I think it's multi-layered, right? On one hand, it's that reminder about pedestrian and driver safety, being aware, taking responsibility for your actions.
And then on the other hand, it's about being prepared for the unexpected. Having the right insurance can literally make the difference between financial ruin and being able to get back on your feet after an accident.
Absolutely.
Anything else you want to add before we wrap up?
One thing that really stuck with me from all this is the human element. These aren't just statistics. These are real people whose lives have been drastically altered by this one event.
Yeah, that's a good point.
So I guess the question for our listeners is, how does this story change your perspective? Does it make you think differently about safety, responsibility, or maybe even your own insurance coverage?
It's definitely given me a lot to think about.
Me too.
So that's our deep dive for today, folks. Thanks for tuning in.
And stay safe out there.
We'll see you next time.
See you later.